Percent. Definition of percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. That's very important when you talk about percent in general, because ironically enough, we were just talking about our grades and how a majority of you want to have A's in math class, and you know, the more 100% you would get, the better chance you would have of achieving that goal. What does a 100% mean to you? In anything, what does 100% mean? Carlos, the best. How else can we define a 100%? Alexis? No. It's not an A+. Eli? Perfect. Yes?
Awesome.
Awesome, sure. There are varying degrees of awesome. Yeah, that helps. Give me an example of a score on something in which you would earn a 100%. Carlos? An example of a score. Frank? An example of a score. No, that wouldn't be a 100%. That would be a 99%. You just had an assignment. 10 out of 10. Because I had scored the 10 points out of the possible 10 points available. Okay? Why is this not an A+? Give me an example of an A+ for today's homework that you could have had. Edsel. An 11 out of 10. Because that means you had the A plus 1 and 1. You had the 100% and 1. Okay? That's an A+. So if you score in a class for the quarter 102%, that's an A+. It's not a 1. A 100% is an A. It's a very nice A. It's great. It's fantastic. It's perfect. It's awesome. All those things, but it's not an A+. Okay? Now let's examine this 10 out of 10. It says it compares a number to 100. 100 is going to be used as a denominator. We'll call it a denominator just because we're putting this ratio in fraction form. It's not necessarily really a denominator, but it's the bottom number. So in fraction form, okay? So we're looking at a problem that we've kind of been working with for the past few days. Is there a relationship here between the 10 and 100? Times what? So if I multiply the top times 10, I get 100. Now, anytime I have a bottom number in a ratio as 100, the top number automatically becomes a percent. What's up? Okay, so let's see. Why don't put it on the counter back there? It's kind of dirty. Why don't you put it on this computer monitor or this cooler here or something? Okay, thank you. Because that counter gets wet. You don't want our lunch and stuff to get wet, right, Chicago? Anyone not score a 10 out of 10 today and are willing to share their score? 9 out of 10. So, if we wanted to find out, you ask all the time, what's the scale? What is 2 wrong? What is 1 wrong? What is all this? Well, I pull out this little thing here, and this is my tool that I look up. It says total number of problems and how many wrong, and then it gives me the percent right away. Okay? So if this is my score, all I have to do is compare my score, points scored out of points possible, to another ratio with 100 as its bottom number. Because let's face it, this is the total points possible. This is the total percent you can get. Unless there's extra credit, but doesn't matter. 10 times what is 100? So then 9 times 10 becomes 90% is what grade? It's a B. So if we had a 7 out of 10, relationship here is only times 10 because this is a 10. That's the only reason why. It's going to change all the time. 70% is a D. Let's say I had an assignment out of 20, and I wanted to find out, I scored a 17 out of 20, and I wanted to find out what grade that was. To get from 20 to 100, I would multiply a 20 times what? 5. So a 17 times 5 would become 85%, which is a B, a solid B. Okay? But that's essentially what happens. That's essentially how your grades end up being what they are. Do you know how I get your grades for the entire quarter? Is you have a certain number of points possible from the first day of the quarter to the last day of the quarter. All of the assignments, all of those points possible added together. They all get thrown here, and the points that you scored go on top. And however that works out into whatever percent, that's your grade. And that's how it works. So homework, every time you have an assignment, like we said, you want to stay consistent. You want to make sure you get stuff in. And unfortunately, we can't always remember what we did, 6 weeks ago. But all right, let's take a look at our book and see what kind of things they're going to be expecting from us today. Guided practice, okay? Guided practice. 444. For each grid, write the percent of squares that are shaded red and the percent that are shaded yellow. That's what's shown there is what's known as a typical 10 by 10 grid. Okay, so there's 10 rows of 10, which give you how many total little squares? 100. So in the first one, how many red of the 100 do you see? 60. Which equals what percent? And what's the other color? Yellow? How many out of the 100 do you see for the yellow? 40. Equals 40%. Okay? Try numbers 2 and 3. Give me a percent for the red. Give me a percent for the yellow. All right, number 2. What percent did we get for the red, Larissa? For the red, for number 2? The red was 20. The yellow was 80%. Very good. Number 3, the red for number 3, Mariah? 64 for the red, which means what? 36 for the yellow. Okay. Number 4. Write each ratio as a percent. So 56 out of 100 would be what percent?
56%.
Number 5. 29 out of 100 is 29%. Number 6. 100 out of 100 is 100%. Number 7 is 2 out of 100. 2%. Number 8, 33 out of 100. Questions? Anytime you have a ratio, what's common here, Casimir? What's your bottom number in all these cases? So once you have a ratio set up with 100 as your bottom number, the top number is going to be your percent. Okay? So number 9 asks, how would we put 38% into a ratio? $38 over how about 70%? 70 over 100. Yes. Yeah. I mean, if it's me doing it, I don't write it that way. If there's 3 ways I can write a ratio, it's just me. I'm picking this one. Can you simplify this?
No.
70 and 100 don't have anything in common? Anything bigger?
5.
It doesn't look like they're asking you to, so. Okay.
That's all we're gonna do.
Yeah, we'll get to more. It'll be more detailed as we go. But for openers, this is pretty much.
And it was a study hall.
All you gotta do is
Yeah, he did the hard way and then
Thanks, Mr. Malin.
You got it.
Hey, Cal.
You're welcome.
I might get an A on this.
So,
All right, so there's 2 sides. It's the same lesson. Let's make sure you're looking at the side that says practice first. Practice. The practice side. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 for each grid. Write the percent of squares that are shaded and the percent that are not shaded. So just like you did with the red and the yellow. 4, 5, and 6, write each ratio as a percent. 7, 8, and 9, write each percent as a ratio in word form and in fraction form. Cross out where it says in word form. So you can write. Big deal. I want you putting it into a fraction.
Oh, wow.
Now, numbers 10 and 11. Kind of interesting. Write a ratio and a percent for each letter in the grid at the right. Now, notice, it's not just made up of B's and E's. It's made up of A, B, C's, D's, and E's. So, how many total little squares are there? 100. So what's your bottom number going to be? Right. So when I count up all the letter B's, however many letter B boxes there are, that's going to go over 100. However many letter E boxes there are, that's going to go over 100. Okay? Flip it over. Homework.
But
It's both homework, but it's labeled. This one's labeled homework. One's practice, one's homework. 1 and 2. Write the percent of the squares that are shaded and the ones that are not. They even give you spaces, special spaces there for it. Okay, number 3 through 6. Ratio is a percent. And 7 through 10, cross out again word form. Just put each one as a fraction. Okay, so 1 through 11 and 1 through 10 on the worksheet for tomorrow.